attempt to tie a cougar tease here. I haven't tied one in quite a while for the video. This is how I've been doing it for probably the last 5 years. Put lead on shank. It's a little ways back. I build up a little thread above and at the back end just to hold that in place. Then I get it on top of the lead. Then I add my wire first, right in the back here, on top of the lead. And then I add my body, which is the flat braid. Tie that down. Bring that thread to the front. Wrap my braid around. It's on top of that lead yet. I spin that to the front. Tie that off. Couple of snug wraps. Trim. Tie it down. Now I'm ready for my rabbit strip. These rabbit strips, I cut them so they're 2 inches long on the hide. From the hide is 2 inches long. Then I'll take the end of that hide and trim the end of it that I'll be tying in the front. Just to, it's helping keep the bulk down at that head. And then I wet my fingers and get rid of some of that excess stuff at the very front. Lay it along here and wrap it on. Position it. That's where I want it. Now I got nice tight wraps. I use rod wrapping thread, which is much stronger. And then I go forward and hang that. Now I can bring my wire around. Not the whole fly. And I take and pull that rabbit strip back. Find where that wire is going to go across. Separate. Again, wet your fingers and wet the base of that rabbit. That'll kind of give it a little stability to stand up. Now I do 2 more gaps, about equal. And this is where the wire is going to go through. You should have a little bowl of water or something. I spin on most of mine. And then the last one. And you just want to separate it so that you can get that wire through. So I'll pull that back now. And I'm using tension on that wire to come around. Whenever you're dealing with rabbit, you're dealing with a lot of hairs and stuff that like to float around. So now I got that forward, and I take the lead, I unwrap, wrap, and get back to the back of the head, and keeping tension on that wire. And some nice snug wraps. And then I bring that wire around so it's right off of that, right off the eye in the corner there. Pull it, trim it with your old scissors. Now I'm going to wrap that wire down. I put my thumbnail and push that wire so that it's up as far as it's going to go, and now I'm just wrapping it down. Now I can go back. Everything's tight. I give it a little bit of a haircut here just to lay everything down nice, like that. Now I'm going to take a mallard flank feather. Just need one that's perpendicular straight with the stem. It can be bent up and down, but you don't want it to be bent sideways. These will work. This one will work just fine. It's straight this way, and it's bent that way. Trim it with your thumb and scissors. And I'll lay that so that that stem of that fly is right along the back. Give it a couple light wraps, make sure that that's where I want it, and then wrap that on there. Now I'll do a double half hitch. Pull her snug. Trim it. I'm going to be changing to gel spun, so I'll remove this. But before I do that, because this is where I do them in parts, I'll tie up 50 of these, and then I'll go ahead and do the deer hair spinning. But I put a little coat of that on, and this is hard as hell head cement. Ideally, you want that to dry up nice. It's not going to really have time to dry up. But now I'll get my gel spun and put that into my thread holder here. Get my thread through there. So now I have gel spun on there. I'll get that on as good as I can. Trimming it's never fun. Gotta have pretty sharp scissors to do so. From this point now I'm going to take some olive deer hair. Not a huge amount. I would say it's smaller than a pencil thickness. Grab them by the very ends and hold on tight. And take a little brush or a little comb like this and brush out the fuzz. That's all you're doing is getting that fuzz out of there. That'll allow them things to stack nice. You get a bunch of fuzz. I'll take this and put it in my stacker. And voila. So now I have it stacked. I'll measure it off to where I want it and then trim right there. I don't need all that excess on there when I'm just doing these back ones. Spin the gel spun thread. That tightens it up nice. Now I can hold that there, go around once, go around twice in the same spot, and then kind of pull it. And I'm starting to tighten it now. I'm starting to pull it nice and tight. I'm still holding it onto the back. I'm not letting it spread around the hook or anything like that. I'll go once through there and then bring this over, bring the thread over and set it. Now I can trim this stuff off. Taking care not to touch my thread. unwrap that half thread. Make sure my position's good on that. Now, I'll cut another bunch off here, but this time it will be quite a gob. It'll be a good sized pencil, the thickness of a pencil. And I'm not going to do anything. There's no prep with this. I just have a gob of hair here. Except, I'll grab it in the middle, and I'll take and trim the ends of these just so that they're straight flat. And I do the same on the bottom. And I'll reposition. I'm going to reposition back towards this back end, which was the thin end, so that I have more in the front here now. I'll give my thread a spin. I'll go ahead and lay that on there where I want it. I'll go around twice in the same spot. Now I put my finger here, which stabilizes the front, holding tension, but not a lot of tension. I'll push this down a little bit, and then I can give it a pull, and it'll spin right on there. It's spun, but it's spun real slow. That's going to be just fine. It's tight. I'm very tight. Now I'm trying to find that eye and bring my thread forward. And I hold all that hair back. I gotta have all the hairs in there. I don't want to be catching any. And I go around once around that eye tightly. Now I can take and do my one-hand double half hitch. Not easy. I got hairs sticking out now. That didn't work. That's okay. Oh, I got one on there. I want to make sure that that hair is not in the way, because you're going to be trimming hair then where it ought to be clean and tight. Now I pinch that, and I let go with this loop and just pull it tight, and then make sure she's snug. And it's very tight. You may have to use a razor blade to cut this stuff. And that's pretty much, that's a cougar tease. It needs a haircut yet. I use these flexible razors. They're sharp, they're flexible, they bend. And the first thing I'll do is cut it right along the bottom, flat. So, just doing that. The next cut is going to be at the eye angle. So I'm going in here and I'm just going up. And when I get towards the top, I can lean back into it a little bit. Like that. From that point, I'll take my scissors and cut it like this at that angle. And I'll do the same thing on both sides. And this can be fished just like this. In fact, I tied one this fall and used it and had a phenomenal day. Caught a 20-inch brown. But when you're selling them, like I have in the shop, you want to make it look a little nicer. So you can round off the head, eliminate any of the sharp corners that it has. And any excess hair that you want to get rid of. And it doesn't take a lot of trimming. And you can kind of tell you just want it symmetrical. It doesn't take a lot of trimming. And that's the cougar tease. Holds up well.